Welcome to KRA's The Hub, the official podcast of KRA Corporation. And now get ready to hear workforce topics and trends you need to know on the go.
This is Jonathan Overall with KRA's The Hub podcast, the host of KRA's The Hub. And I am here at the Maryland Workforce Association Raising the Bar Conference. This is day number 2 of the conference, and I've had an amazing time, an opportunity to connect with different leaders and influencers within workforce development locally here in Maryland. And I'm joined at this time with Fahim Karim. He is the Manager of Business Services for Employ Prince George's. Fahim, welcome.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
And likewise, I'm excited to meet you and to have this conversation today. You're here at the Maryland Workforce Association. This is in your backyard, the state of Maryland. Before we go into some of the themes of the conference and some of the exciting things that have happened, tell our audience a little bit about your background and how did you get into workforce development?
Sure. It's a beautiful, long story, but I'll try to say briefly. I lived in 4 different continents. My dad was a teacher. He taught medicine, physiology to be more specific. And so living in those 4 different continents, it was wonderful, learning different parts of different cultures and things like that. So when I came to the U.S., which is where I've longest lived, and I'm a U.S. citizen, I saw that my strengths were actually working with people. Because when I was working with them, I realized my projects were moving faster, my things were getting done quicker, and I realized it was because of having that exposure to different continents made those things more successful. So working in one particular industry for 22 years and in a very large global organization, I was able to acquire a lot of knowledge as a product manager, do a lot of process improvement, change management, and things of that nature. I got laid off in 2019. And when I got laid off, I told myself I'm not laid off, even though I've worked in this one particular industry for 22 years, I'm actually set free. And I always give that analogy, we can come back to that. But so when that happened, I started to do a deep search and think about, okay, what is it that I would love to teach or share with people that I feel is my core? And I had to do a lot of self-discovery. I took a lot of courses and things of that nature. And I realized my strength was engaging people, people engagement, and also helping organizations create spaces where people love to work. And I look at it like a doctor looks at type 2 diabetes. It's a symptom, it's not a disease. And there are a couple of factors you have to address. Once you address them, the problem goes away. So with my own management consulting firm, I started to focus and teach that, and eventually that's what brought me to workforce development, and that's where I found my sweet spot. Because with my own next journey of getting laid off and then having to rediscover, then creating my own improvement pathway, I was able to be a resource to the businesses that I get to serve, because I understand a lot of the businesses I work with, they may not have the exposure to the large organizations I've had exposure to. So I bring that expertise. And also working with job seekers who are impacted by layoffs, I can be a resource to them because I know a little bit about what it feels like to be in their shoes.
Now, thank you for sharing that background. How would you say that your background in management consulting, even, again, you use a medical term of diagnosing. I always say business services, we're listening, we're asking questions, we're identifying pain points and giving a prognosis and helping businesses take the next step and find a solution. How would you say your background and even the home that you grew up in and some of the different experiences, how has that transferred into leading and engaging, leading a team of business services professionals and leading those efforts?
Absolutely. I like the analogy of being an elephant versus a hippo. You see, the hippo has a big mouth and a small ears, and the elephant has big ears and a small mouth. And I think that's the key to be a successful business consultant. Rather than going in, even though we do all the research, as a business consultant, we do a lot of research on the organization, the market, the industry, the labor market data, understand the company's financial conditions, but then going in as a very curious person. and being a listener, not coming up as like, hey, I've worked for solutions for you. No, I want to understand where you are. Like, they say that when you want to take a fish and you want to put them from a container to a pond, you just don't take the fish and put it into the pond. You first put them in a plastic bag, bring some water from the pond, mix those two waters, let the fish get acclimated, and then you put them into the pond. So as a business consultant, we have a very beautiful consultative approach that Walter Simmons has taught us. One of those concepts is that to understand the organization so that we're at the same page, hopefully, so that we're thinking of where they are, and then suggesting solutions. And then working from a product management mindset, I'm always thinking of my past experiences in bringing efficiencies and collaborations, because I had to work with a lot of cross-functional teams. And so for me, the cross-functional team is not just dependent on my organization, but also we almost have like 260 plus partners we partner with. Which one can help my employer that I'm working with right now?
That's great. A lot of times we talk about wraparound services and the referral services for our job seekers, supportive services. That's a big thing for job seekers. But sometimes when it comes to the business customer that we serve, we lose sight of that. You don't see necessarily the ecosystem of supportive services for businesses. And so it's great to hear you talk about how you and your team have developed that and keep that in mind as you're serving the business. We can't do it by ourselves. I know that's been the theme of this conference, being the superhero, but we can't carry that superhero complex and try to do everything ourselves. Now, speaking of Maryland, the times that we're in, there's a lot of uncertainty, both at the level of government, politics, the future of WIOA and its funding going into next year, but also the impact of federal workers that have been impacted here in the state of Maryland in different counties. I know some counties have been hit harder than others, but Prince George's has definitely been at the forefront of responding to that here in the state. From a business perspective, business services manager, what have you seen? What trends are you seeing helping to connect some of those impacted job seekers with new opportunities with businesses?
Absolutely. So for us, we did a multi-pronged approach. We actually have one of the things that we did was a custom recruitment event just for federal workers. We brought more than 80 employers that were told that these are very highly skilled workers that you have an opportunity to recruit from. So that was one of the first way that we try to support them. Then also we looked at like what type of supportive services that they need. For example, federal workers, their resumes sometimes, because the government jobs requires it, can be quite lengthy. And so we realized that private sector is not interested in a lengthy resume. And so we have a lot of supportive services for them into tailoring their resumes for private sector so that it's more meaningful and targeted to the actual private sector that they're interested in. On top of that, we also offer them interviewing skills because a lot of them, when I see them coming to the job fair, like myself also when I was first going there from when I got laid off, is they're very nervous. They don't really know how to navigate. And us being a resource to them and helping them navigate, I think was a big help as well. And then also partnering with employers to understand how can we educate our federal workers more about how to apply more meaningfully and present themselves. So we took sample resumes from our federal workers, and I host a couple of business advisory councils with the employers from 3 different industries. And we asked them feedback, like, what do you have to say? They said, well, we like this, we don't like this. This is the structure we prefer. And that's the kind of feedback that we work with our, different departments that are job seeker facing, so that they can then service our federal workers in a more meaningful and supportive way. So that's one of the many things. In terms of the challenges, right, what we're seeing. Well, I remember one CEO, she said something very meaningful. It was a very small sentence, but it stuck in my mind. She said that, certainty is end of opportunity. And so uncertain times are actually full of opportunity. And so for me, I try to be a resource to the federal workers also and let them know that, look, it's your opportunity to rediscover yourself. So entrepreneurship is another opportunity we support them. Many of them have the opportunity to open up their own business, become a contractor, and now charge the same employer double for them and me missing their services. And so that's another opportunity. Me also having gone through entrepreneurship journey myself, I can also help the federal workers when they come to the job fairs in giving them some of those ideas as well. But my main focus is the employers, so we try to also help our employers with those recruitment support and also coaching them a little bit as well as to how to see transferable skills and then being a bridge between the two.
For those who aren't familiar with Prince George's County, what does the business economic landscape look like? What are some of the driving industries locally in your county?
Absolutely. So Walter Simmons, who's our CEO, he took a very strategic approach. Even though we have a lot of businesses, not all of them are in demand, right? And so we looked at those and we narrowed it down to basically 11 in-demand industries. And on top of that, we narrowed it to 6 industry clusters. For example, transportation is an in-demand industry, same as logistics. However, we don't have to have it as 2 separate focus. So transportation logistics is one industry cluster. So we narrowed it down to 6. Transportation logistics is one, construction and real estate is the next, information technology and cybersecurity, hospitality and retail, and healthcare and social services. And so there are 6 industries. Basically, we realize that's where we want to offer most of our support, because these are the industries that are in demand. That means they're hiring a lot of people. And so we want to help job seekers with goals that they are going to be happy with. For example, I don't want to help somebody in agriculture when agriculture is not a thing in our county. Well, versus if we help them with information technology or transportation, which is hiring a lot more, then they will have a much better outcome with the trainings and support that we have for them.
It's good. Now, a topic that I know has been relevant here and at most conferences that I've been to recently is on the integration of AI.
Yes.
It's a hot topic right now. I recently did an episode a few weeks back with the Chamber of Commerce in another state, and they were talking about the businesses that are coming to them asking for support. How they can integrate AI into their business systems, their workflows. In your work on the business side, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? How are you guys engaging employers around that topic?
Absolutely. Thank you. So with my team, we host multiple business advisory councils, which are designed to facilitate industry conversations between employers and partners. And so in those conversations, we're hearing things like, for my logistics industry, the employers are using it, but they would love to have more support for training more of their staff on how to do prompts, how to use it, because they see the efficiencies. For example, responding to customer inquiries is so much more faster using AI. I don't have to spend a lot of time on how do I say this message. It's very quick for my customer service representative, but then only 2 of my customer service may know it. How do I make sure my other staff can also learn? So that's the kind of feedback we're getting from employers that, look, could you kind of help us with that? Like even basic AI training, chat, and prompts. And so that's one option. So then when I talk to other experts, there are so many talented people we have in our community, AI experts. They could be forming organizations that meets these gaps where they can then offer those services to employers in helping them bridge the first level of the AI wave, which they can benefit from. Because although there's concerns with AI, but it is here to stay. And so organizations that embraces it are going to have to think like, how do I use it to optimize my growth? At the same time, have a risk mindset, but not to an extent where I'm debilitating my innovation and my growth potential. Because research shows that some of the larger organizations that have invested in AI, they didn't see more than 30% return on investment. Now, that may be because sometimes the systems that they're building the AI tools on are legacy systems, and those systems are not designed to operate at optimal level. And so, for example, you may have data lakes that are very old and data structures are off. And so when AI wants to actually look at the data, it can't read it, so the return on investment isn't necessarily because AI isn't performing well, there's other factors. And so the key is if I like as a business owner, I have to invest in my own education and development. If I look at it as my opportunity and I invest in my own knowledge development and I start to work with experts around me, I will have a healthy approach to it. Versus if I don't embrace it, if I start to have lack of knowledge, then I will probably fall behind when my competitor is embracing it and is making a much more informed and expert support approach.
That's a key. And we were talking about that earlier. The rate of change. If you're on the crest of the wave of what's here, you have the opportunity to rise with it. Yes. And if you're not, whenever you start, it's like the old adage, the best time to plant an apple tree was 5 years ago. Second best time is today. There's still an opportunity to get on the wave and to embrace it and to realize what is the best fit for my organization, for the different roles. So there's opportunity there. There's time there to get involved with that.
Absolutely. And I would say that for businesses, the more they engage their business services, the more they'll benefit. Because we have so many resource partners, we have so many resources available to them that we can support them in that journey. And that's where we're always looking to do. My business consultants are always trying to talk to the employers about the support needs, and we try to fit those gaps by also bringing these industry leaders together as well.
Now, I have to mention at this conference, you were given an award for the work that you do in business services, simply put, for raising the bar in the work that you do here locally. What did that award mean to you and some of the accomplishments that went into that?
Thank you. It was a moment of great joy and happiness. I feel very honored to have received this, and at the same time humbled. God Almighty, ultimately, He's the one who is the true giver of all of this, and I thank Him for it and the opportunity that He has facilitated. At the same time, I also appreciate everybody that has supported me, starting from the person who hired me. They trusted me, even though I wasn't a workforce development professional at that time. I might have looked like overqualified, but they still took a chance in me. And on top of that, my organization, Employer Prince George's, is really an amazing organization where we're trailblazers in this industry. Walter Simmons, as you'll see, many of the programs that we do are very innovative. And so learning those things, the programs that we have. At the same time, working with the partners that we have and the different businesses that we have, they are the recipients of these awards as well, because I am just a part of their extension, and by their support and the love that they have shared with me, I was able to do some of the work, and I was very grateful for it.
What are some takeaways thus far? This is the last day of the conference, day number 2 of the adult portion. The youth portion was on Monday. What are some takeaways from the conference that were perhaps inspiring, insightful, that you plan to take back in the leadership of your team?
Sure. So Raising the Bar conference is one of my favorite conferences. It's the very first conference I had attended through workforce development. Walter Simmons, he always invests in our development. Not many organization actually pays for the staff's training to take days off, and Walter does that. So when I came to this particular conference a couple of years ago, and even to this day, I try to make the best of it, because you have so many amazing experts coming and sharing with you nuggets. And so I try to learn from each one of them, and at the same time also talk to the different vendors that are here. For example, Geographic Solutions and other, they have their subject matter experts waiting to share with us what their organizations are doing and the partners that we get to network with. And so it's not just the learning, but also the networking and collaboration opportunity that these conferences offer is really such a tremendous gem. And so for me, many takeaways. I took a lot of notes, built a lot of relationships just in this conference. did some videos together of different organizations of the great work that they're doing, so I can share it. So continuing to build on that as I continue on this journey.
That's great. Well, I look forward to staying in touch with you, Fahim, and thank you for your time here at the conference. I know folks can follow you in the work that you do. I know you're very active on LinkedIn and posting a lot of insightful content that is related to workforce development, professional development. How can people find you there?
Absolutely. LinkedIn is the best place. If you can share with them my link, that would be the best place. Fahim Karim is spelled as F as in Frank, AHIM as in Mary, and then Karim, KARIM as in Mary. And my tag is Employee Retention Expert. And that's what I specialize in, and so that'll be the easiest way to find me on LinkedIn.
That's wonderful. Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing, and again, congratulations on the award. And we've had some insightful conversation in this podcast as well as before, just getting to know you and the work that you're doing. A great story of someone who came into workforce development. You took your background, your previous career insights, and have really raised the bar in terms of the service that you're offering to the community. So thank you for the work and congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it was a pleasure to get to know you as well, John.
Definitely. We'll have to have you on again because there's other topics that I'd love to talk with you about, probably for hours, but we'll have to save that for future episodes.
Absolutely. We'll be happy to.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to KRA's The Hub. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about KRA Corporation, visit www.kra.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.